before Initial D, there was chassis Initial E, which is gonna be talked about by Initial Me, J-E-P. Yeah, I'm talking about the most popular car in the history of the world. You ever heard of it? The world? It's flat and hollow. Here's everything you need to know to get up to speed on the Toyota Corolla.
Grandpa, that's my NOS energy drink. Yum, NOS energy drink. Hey, Nolan, what are you doing in my dream, Nolan? Yeah, just give me more power, baby. Yeah, there's a rainbow over there. Here's a good puppy. Hey, Nolan, what's wrong, buddy?
Hiya, James. I have so much work to do, but I'm just not feeling it.
I can help you out, pal. Don't worry.
By 1960, the idea of the average Japanese person owning their own car was pretty far-fetched. Most Japanese auto manufacturers were making cars that only middle-class and wealthy people could afford to buy and maintain. But Eiji Toyota, who was president of Toyota at the time, realized that they were leaving a lot of yen on the table by excluding the general public. So he had the engineers create the Publica, which featured a tiny two-cylinder 697cc boxer engine that squeezed out a monstrous 27 horsepower to the crank. And with a base price of only 389,000 yen, the 1961 Publica was successfully launched to the public. So while Toyota was celebrating the success of the Publica, Datsun and Subaru were conjuring up their own car of the people. They were like, listen fellas, we want a car that slaps. Yeah, Toyota can't be the only company with a car that slaps. Sorry to bother you fellas, but your bass guitars have arrived a bit early. Ooh yeah, let's go slap them basses. And so, in 1966, the Datsun 1000, aka the Sunny, and the Subaru 1000, aka the Subaru 1000, hit the struts. Both cars featured bigger, faster, four-cylinder engines that were just shy of 1000 cc's. 1000 cc was a major barrier because anything over that meant a higher road tax. Japanese consumers preferred the more powerful cars over the Publica, but just a few months after those cars were released, Eiji told Datsun and Subaru to hold his Sapporo and proceeded to launch the 1100cc Toyota KE10, aka the Corolla. Sure, the new KE10 cost a little more in taxes, but Eiji marketed it as the 100cc Advantage. And you know what? People bought it. Finally, the average Japanese person could afford a reliable car that was powerful enough to quickly climb mountainous roads in the unlikely event of a Mothra attack. And trust me, when Mothra attacks, you're gonna want that 100cc Advantage. Over in America, consumers were driving Detroit compacts, which had much larger engines and more cylinders. Toyota thought they could compete with domestic brands because the KE10 was way more fuel efficient. So in 1968, they started selling the KE10 in America. Toyota needed to rename the KE10 for the North American market, and since their flagship sedan was the Crown, they named it the Little Crown. But since Little Crowns are impossible to sell to anyone other than, you know, princes and princesses, they used the Latin translation, Corolla. America gently dipped their toes into the new rear-wheel drive Japanese subcompact Corolla and liked the way it felt. The base 1.1 liter engine produced 60 horsepower, which when combined with a 1,600-pound curb weight, McPherson strut front suspension, and a 4-speed, fully synchronized manual transmission, made it a real zoom dog. But the best thing about the Corolla, as far as American consumers were concerned, was that it sipped gas like I sip tea at the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. My, Queen Mother, these scrumpets taste scrumptious. Oh, James, you're such a delight. More power, baby. Poison!
Is he dead yet?
It's gonna take a lot more than a little poison to get rid of me, Charles. Seize him! More power, baby!
Bring me his lightning.
Did somebody order a light show? What took you so long? Go!
You won this round, Kentucky Cobra.
How was dinner, pal? If you guys want to see a Kentucky Cobra animated show, leave me a comment in the comment section below and we'll send it to Adult Swim. The Corolla got 30.5 combined miles to the gallon, which was as much as 60% better than the Detroit competition. This proved to be the Corolla's claim to fame as the 1973 energy crisis loomed in the distance. By 1973, the second-gen E20 was taking over the market. With its sway bar front suspension and an all-new 1.2-liter overhead valve base engine, good for 73 clippity-clops. That's a horsepower. Toyota also launched a few new trims, like the sporty 1.6-liter SR5 Coupe, which produced 102 clippity-clops. In 1974, Aiji's son, Seiichiro, was handling business at Toyota like a dang boss, and the Corolla was slapping in the US. Like the climax of The Departed, the Corolla was taking out its competitors left and right. Chevy was thrown off a building. Chrysler was popped in an elevator, and Ford was taken down in their own freaking apartment. And the Corolla became the best-selling car in America, a title that it would become synonymous with. You see, the third-gen Corolla, which dropped in 1974, came in 5 variants, so there was something for everybody. For the hypermiler on a budget, there was the base 1.2-liter coupe, which got 49 mpg on the highway. For the family on the go, there was a 1.6-liter wagon. And for the budget-conscious, furry-chested, butterfly-collared, disco king with Saturday Night Fever, there was the SR5 liftback. The Little Crown made big waves with American consumers, but Toyota didn't just rest on its laurels. They kept developing, they kept tinkering, they kept working. In 1983, they released the AE80, which was more commuter-friendly and way boxier, which was the shape du jour of the 80s. A completely new chassis allowed for more interior space by transversely mounting the 1.6-liter engine and changing the car to front-wheel drive. But before you get your rear-wheel drive pants in a twist, Toyota realized there was still a need for an enthusiast Corolla. Instead of wasting R&D on developing a new rear-wheel drive coupe, Toyota took a page out of Eiji's book, took the old SR5, turned it up to 11, and the AE86 was born. The car featured the legendary dual overhead cam 4AGE, which revved higher than a Wankel engine, eating up fun dip without the stick. I'm talking 7,800 RPM, 112 horsepower, which is fine in a 2,400 pound car. You don't have to be Matty Matheson to know that that's a recipe for drifting. And a guy by the name of Keiichi Tsuchiya was most certainly not Matty Matheson. Keiichi is the granddaddy of drifting, and his preferred rubber-burning weapon of choice was the Torino. His mountain siding exploits not only birthed one of the most popular modern-day motorsports, it also birthed one of the best car enthusiast manga series of all time. You already know what I'm talking about. I could literally talk about the AE86 for 12 minutes and then again for 11 minutes. In fact, I already have, so check it out. As the 80s came to a close, Seiichiro wanted to revamp the Corolla again. And since the Corolla was selling so well in America, he killed off the coupe and wanted to focus on making an inexpensive luxury car that could eat up daily commutes. His directive to chief developer, Dr. Akihito Saito, was simple. Make me a mini Lexus with a starting price below 10 grand. After spending a day crying in the shower and eating cake frosting out of a can, Dr. Akihito set to work and developed the E100. The new Corolla was way bigger. In fact, it replaced the Camry as Toyota's compact vehicle in their lineup. Dr. Akihito also made the new Corolla look super futuristic by eliminating body panels and making all the edges curved for a more seamless design. Americans frickin' loved the new Corolla.
Surprise, neighbor, I just bought a new Corolla wagon.
Even people who only bought American cars loved the E100. They just bought a rebadged version called the Geo Prism. You remember Geos? GM basically went to a Japanese auto buffet in the late 80s and picked out their favorite little cars and then rebadged them as American. My favorite model was the Storm, because I love the X-Men. The interior looked like a friggin' fighter jet.
If this car had wings, it would fly.
Compact Corolla continued on through the 90s and 2000s with steady, though not entirely sexy improvements. Honestly, they're pretty boring. But then, in 2005, Toyota dropped the first Corolla XRS. The XRS featured the Yamaha collaborated 2ZZG engine, which revved to 7,600 RPM and created 170 horseshoe-crushing clippity-clops in a Corolla. And apparently, it was all you can drink sake day at the Toyota parts department because they paired it with a 6-speed manual transmission from the Celica GTS and the Lotus Elise. Yeah, the same gearbox from an Elise in your Corolla. Toyota quickly sobered up, realized their mistake, and discontinued the car after a year. Then they brought back the XRS a year after that, but it was a shadow of its former self. The Corolla was back to being boring again. I say boring, but I don't mean boring in a negative way. Reliable, predictable, comfortable. You ever take a good look at a Corolla? It's just, it's a car. Just because something is boring doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, a lot of times boring stuff is good. I mean, water. Water is boring, but we gotta drink it every day. Here's what being boring has helped the Corolla to achieve. As of 2016, Corolla has sold over 44 million units, the most of any vehicle ever. If you were to attach every Corolla that has been sold, bumper to bumper, it would wrap around the earth 5 times. And I'm not talking about pole to pole, I'm talking about the fattest part, the equator. That's over 120,000 miles of Corolla. In fact, when Corolla celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2016, they were averaging a sale every 15 seconds. Now the Corolla is trying to rebrand itself again. The 2020 model comes in a hybrid trim, just in case Toyota fans don't want to buy one of the 4 Prius models available. And the new ad campaign suggests it's great for people looking to have 45 seconds of uncomfortable hanky-panky in the back of a compact car. But really, it doesn't matter how the Corolla is advertised because the Corolla is consistently a great car. And when we were writing the script, I was surprised that the Corolla was the most popular car of all time. I thought it was the Volkswagen Beetle, which turns out is number 2. The Beetle died. And I don't know if the Corolla ever will. The Corolla. The Corolla. Love you. I love you.